water supplied by a public municipality or a private well for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. All right, welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. She is a friend of mine from Disney that we worked years ago in the entertainment department. And so without further ado, I want to welcome Miss Christine Cartell to the show. Christine, welcome to the Goblay Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. It's so good to see you.
So going back to, I gotta just a couple more things. I'm gonna wrap this up and let you get back to what you're doing. I think I was going to ask you about, some of your credits. We talked about Manifest, Blacklist, Orange is the New Black, but also I wanted to ask you, you have a credit on Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yeah. Yep.
That happened. That's awesome.
Yeah. That was a wild experience. Like, cause I didn't know, I'm not a gamer.
Right.
Not a gamer. Like, I played a little bit of Super Mario, a little bit of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I played Tetris. Like, nice. I don't play, I'm not a gamer.
Right.
So I'd heard.
You're
good. Sorry. Swallow of coffee.
It's all good.
Yeah. So I'm not a gamer. I'd heard of like Rockstar Games.
Right.
But that's not, I think. And that you get, as an actor, you get auditions for stuff all the time, right? You get auditions for, and it was like new, because like normally the voiceover stuff that I get is either like infomercial, like industrials, like stuff that's like training. I do a lot of that because like the more copy you give me, the better I do.
Right.
As opposed to just being like, wow, like that's the thing. I just don't book a lot of that.
Right.
Usually I'm hired to talk. So I started getting video game auditions, and I was like, okay. And this is like back when we would like go in person, and I was like, why am I going in? It's voiceover. Like normally in the before times, meaning before I had to have all of this myself as an actor. Now we have to be director, producer, sound engineer, lighting, we have to do all the things now that we did not have to do before. So like before, you would go into, you go to an audition and they call you back, they bring you into a sound booth and you're at the mic and there's a pop filter like this. And you're reading your copy and they, there's somebody else in a booth who's like recording you and mixing and, okay, great. Give it to me this way. Okay. Give it to me this way. But for this, I think it was for this one because like, you're not actually told what you're going in for. So you're going in, this one was like an in-person as though it was an actual, like, not that voiceover acting isn't acting, it is, but it's different. This was you're going in into the room the same way you would audition for a commercial or a television show or a movie. And I was like, oh, okay.
It's different.
And I think this was the audition that it was for. And it's always like, not the real storyline, not the real sides, if this is, and again, I don't actually know if this was the audition.
Right.
I'm deducing this is an audition that I went in for, and they were like, she's from literally Minnesota, where I am right now. Like, she's from Minnesota. We want a Minnesota accent. We want this. Now I'm from Michigan. Michigan and Minnesota are not that far off. And I worked very hard to get, when I was at Disney, I didn't know I had an accent. I didn't know I had a Michigan accent, which still comes out sometimes, until I got to Disney, and people from other parts of the country were like, why do you say your E's like that? Your A's like that? Because I would be like, Ariel. Class of 2000, Ariel. There was an E. That Michigan E was in my A's, and I didn't know that. And then I like started to correct it to the point that my family would be like, because I would say that instead of that. And my family would be like, why did you say that? And I'm like, I didn't say that. I just said that. And I didn't say that. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I don't know, people on TV sound like me, but people on the news, they sound like me. And they're like, no, they don't actually sound like me. So I worked really hard to get that, non-regional specific American dialect. And so I went in, I was like, I can do Minnesota. And so I went in and I did the Minnesota accent, which is, it's a much more exaggerated version of how they actually speak. Because here in Minneapolis, people are not talking like this all the time. You don't hear this.
Right.
And they were like, the audition went well, didn't think anything of it. Went in and they were like, I got a call like, hey, can you come do this? And it was motion capture, which I'd never done before, which was so cool. And now it's like a whole thing. So now like people are on strike. Obviously SAG-AFTRA, we've gone through some historic strikes. AI it just is an existential threat to entertainers and people in the entertainment industry. It's stop feeding your images just to see what you would look like. Stop doing it. You're feeding plagiarism software. Stop doing it. I see actors doing this on Instagram for likes all the time. I'm like, what are you doing? We just had a whole strike about this. And now video games are striking because they don't want to pay you a living wage when they can just feed your image in perpetuity into, and like I had a whole body scan because this wasn't a thing at that point. This was years, this was several years ago that we did Red Dead Redemption. And they did a whole body scan. So because I am not a gamer, I don't know where I am in the game. I know I am in crowd scenes because we shot a bunch of crowd scenes. I know that I have like different storylines that I spoke in. Okay. And like, it wasn't just, it was just a line. Like I had entire storylines, and I remember thinking like, this is also where you learn, because like, I'm like, oh, it's a video game. Like whatever, like it is what it is. I'll just say the lines.
Right.
Oh no. Like, they're like, okay, we're going to need you to like, and I was like, oh, I did not, like, for my first couple of takes, I did not bring my A game because I did not think I had, because I was like, oh, this is just, not that I wouldn't normally bring my A game. I just didn't know how much of my A game I had to bring and how much stamina I needed to have. Right. Because, you're doing take after take after take after take. And I like some of the storylines I was in were devastating. Yeah. Like devastating. Like, someone's just come in and killed my children. Someone's just come in and killed my husband and taken my children. Like, it was stuff like that. And I don't know. Again, not a gamer. Don't know what made it into the game. I've never seen the game. I don't know if my likeness showed up, or I don't know. And like the thing with video games is like, I'm not seeing residuals for that game, even though it's millions of people playing it. I don't know. Like, this is part of what the strike is about. It's like your likeness and your voice. And like, that's all being fed to computers. Yep. So, and then, you go in and you do redubbing. So I was brought back into a voiceover studio after we had, shot whatever, because they were shooting this thing for years. Like, I worked with the guy who's like the main guy, and he's like, oh no, I'm here every day. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, oh, I've been here for, months. Oh yeah. I was so very ignorant about the artistry that goes into video games. Like, I really didn't know. I did not know. Right. And so, but that also changed the way that I auditioned for them.
Gotcha.
Because it's like, oh, you are looking for someone to like, give it. Like, you're like, again, I should probably do some research and play a video game, but having been on one and then going back into the studio, and they're like, great, this is what we've done for you. We want to punch this up. We want to change this. We're going to give you these, here's some new copy for you to read. It's, this character, this is what's happened, really give it to us. Like, this really happened, like devastating, like I'm in the booth screaming, crying. Right. Right. Not someone who's only played Super Mario Brothers, Sonic, and Tetris. Yeah. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Duck Hunt. I also played Duck Hunt.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I didn't know. And like, when it came out, people were like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I have a much better, trust me, I have a much bigger appreciation for it now. And I have massive respect. Like we have a friend who he does a ton of work in the gaming world as an actor.
Right.
And he's been very outspoken about the strikes, and I've learned actually a lot from him. But it's just, you don't know what you don't know.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck, the delicious mobile coffee truck that brings you the caffeination inspiration you need. We deliver signature coffee products like our Nitro Cold Brew and Caramel Frappe to any occasion or festivity. And for those who don't like coffee, we offer a variety of delicious hot chocolates, energy drinks, lemonades, and teas. That's Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck. True. No, absolutely. And, you talk about how, you were used to Duck Hunt and Mario Brothers and Sonic. Mm-hmm. You go from a scene to scene deal where basically all that was is sound effects.
Yes.
That you would like old school. Think of it as like an old school. It's the same comparison as you see the old Walt Disney cartoons where they're banging on a pan and they're doing all these bicycle, whatever.
Yeah.
And now you got Pixar, which is they do everything's, so up to date and everything that they could do anything. Well, computer games, especially Rockstar, have done a great job of open worlds where it's not just you go scene to scene and you get on the flagpole and come down and go into the castle.
Yeah.
The next, you can go into, so since you haven't played Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Redemption, because there's, obviously there's two.
Yeah, of course.
It's an open world. So you can literally go to the same place as many times as you want, and it's going to be a different experience every time. It's like you were never there. I always thought, well, shoot, if, obviously you shoot, it's like the West. So you have to shoot bad guys and stuff like that. You could be on a horse. Now it is really cool, a really cool game, but you could be riding down the trail at night and all of a sudden you could get robbed.
Yeah.
It does happen. It has happened, but you can take out those guys. You can literally take their money. You flip them over and you pretty much search them for money and stuff like that. It's like Grand Theft Auto, same people. Yeah. You can go to town, come back, and those guys will still be there. Those guys will be there to rob you again.
It's so wild.
It's insane, but it's so cool. It's almost like you're watching a movie and you're like, oh gosh, you're like, here we go. The first 5 minutes of every new game like that, you're like, I don't know what's going on. And then you kind of get a feel you're in that realm of that world. And it's not so weird anymore. You kind of feel like you adapt to it. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense at all. I don't know, but
you get used to anything. Yeah.
Right. But when you're talking about the AI a minute ago, I don't know if you know this, you probably do because of the entertainment department or business. But I heard that Tyler Perry was going to build some huge production studio and then realized that he could do this new program of AI. Mm-hmm. And it was
Sora or OpenAI or something. Sora, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And stop production because he doesn't need all that. It was going to be an $800 million facility. They're going to be able to do anything they wanted. And now they've got this AI thing. And it's what do I need all that for? That's
the thing is that if you're not, dialed in and you're actors, whatever, I get it. I get it. But the people in the entertainment industry who are not, at the award show and walking the red carpet, it's not just actors, it's actors. That's why the writers went on strike. The DGA almost went on strike. Everybody it was hot labor summer last year. Everybody was, striking and not everybody got the deals that they necessarily should have, but that's a whole other. It's when you take that away and you're talking about the people who costume, who design the costumes, who create the costumes,
right.
who dress you, who tailor the costumes. That's the thing that, like, you go to a fitting for a commercial or a TV show or something like that, and they are making things fit you. They fit you, right? They're not, it's not just try on this pair of jeans, try on this shirt. It's okay, great. All right, we're going to go with that, but we're going to put a hem in that because that's not quite right. We want it to sit like this on you. And here's this jacket. We're going to, take it in here, whatever it is. That's just wardrobe, right? Mm-hmm. That's just wardrobe. And then you have hair and makeup. And then who frankly, they need to get their due on the American Theater Wing needs to give them a Tony Award category, that each their own. But hair and makeup doesn't get their due. You have people doing hair, you have people doing makeup, you have people who are art designers, who are just, location scouts, and people who are building sets and painting set and finding the furniture, and where is this going to go, and how do we want this, and how that all helps to create the world and tell the story.
Right.
Lighting, sound, your PAs, your crafty people who have, who are providing sustenance for you on set because you're on set for 14 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Producers, writers, directors, all of these, it's an entire industry that is threatened because, unfortunately, I'm not the first person to say this. Like, I'm not some sort of, savant on this. It's very clear the tech companies and Wall Street and too much big money has gotten in. And that's why we don't have any, original ideas. That's why we don't that's why we have all of these remakes and reboots. And yes, nostalgia plays a part of that, but it's also just like no one's taking a chance on anything.
Right. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing gear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kingston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. No, and that's the thing is, all those people that are very creative behind the scenes and everything don't get their just of, or recognition of anything. They just kind of get passed over. Look how many years that's happened where things that that we love and cherish, like movies that were done that nobody even knows. These people that help bring this stuff to life, other than you get the actor or actresses the full credit, because majority of the scene, it's them. It's what they say that makes you, but it's not them saying, it's the writers. They're the ones writing all this good stuff. I love a written show. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid to say I love the Golden Girls because it's such a
Why would you be afraid to say that?
Everybody, every time I say the Golden Girls, like, man. And I'm like,
Golden Girls was so ahead of its time. No,
I know
the
it
Golden
was.
Girls was ahead of its time. It's relevant. It's
till today. Still today, it's so, like, the writing was so well done that I think that's what made it so anyone who watched it could relate to that.
Yes.
So even you take a show like that, and it's funny. Have you seen The Great Muppet Caper? Ever seen that movie? I know this is gonna be random.
Maybe.
Well, there's a scene. There's a scene at the beginning. They're in a hot air balloon, and they're in the hot air balloon that's going through the air, and they got all these credits rolling. And they said, "Can we go now?" And he goes, "No. These people have families."
Yeah.
Like, you don't really think about that. Like, no, some of these. Right. And Jim Henson says in the Kermit, some of these people, they all have families. We should wait until they're, and he goes, "Oh, the sky's cleared. Now we can go." All the texts are gone from the So I mean, people don't realize how much goes into something like that, and you could talk about this for hours. Who are like the people that are involved from going from like, and I'm learning more and more every day about, because I listen to several different podcasts, and it's like, you don't realize the meetings, the production meetings, the what do they call the table reads? Everybody does it. I mean, you've got some sort of table read you're going to do it, whether it's a television or a show or, a walkthrough of some sort, going from different, scenes and whatever you have. I mean, it's just the whole big production that's why they call it a production. And I mean, it's just crazy how all that works, man. But I mean, I love to give everybody credit.
Yeah.
That's why I always say you never see the guy behind this podcast magic, but Logan, he's my editor. He does all the editing. He's phenomenal. But
shout out to Logan.
Shout out to Logan.
Listen,
Logan, when you see this later,
having to edit, like, self tapes aren't terribly difficult to edit, but like people are editing, on a much smaller scale. But you think about editing just like reels. Yep. And TikToks and things like that. And people are like learning how to do it, and like having to edit, having to now edit, voiceover auditions or what have you. Like during the pandemic, you would get a commercial audition and you would get a shot list. You got a shot list and it was like, whoa, but you got a shot list, which is not something that you did before. Like, they're like, well, what kind of camera do you have? I'm like, I got my iPhone. Like, I'm using my iPhone camera right now. Like, it's the things that you have to learn about. So like editors,
right?
I have like stories, like look at reality television,
right?
Those stories are told by the editors, like producers.
Oh yeah, like,
That's what those stories are told by.
Oh yeah.
So it's shout out to Logan.
Yeah, he does all the magic. I'm a one-man show. Mm-hmm. I do all the promoting. Because I mean, but it allows me, I mean, I love it because it allows me to learn different things that I never knew how to take on. But my biggest thing is booking. Like, how you can go to any kind of person. Like, I know Facebook has them, and the majority of it's a scam, because they're like, so what podcast do you have? And you send a link and it says, maybe you should check out my podcast. And it's just like a link to other things that doesn't go anywhere. It's basically just like, and then you can go to like different sites, and they'll pay, or you pay for them to give you like more views and stuff like that. I don't want all that. I want genuine people watching.
You want engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But and people like the first thing people say about the podcast is, how many followers do you have on, or how many subscribers do you have on YouTube? And I'm like, right now about almost to 250 subscribers. Is that a lot of people? For me, yes. I think it's a lot of people. Is it something that I'm, is that my goal? No, I want to be more than that. But of course, you can't expect it to be 1,000 subscribers in a week or a day. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, so I mentioned earlier that my husband released an album.
Right.
In July. And like, he self-produced an album like 20 years ago. He just did it to do it. Right. And this time it was with, he was approached by a small album label based in Nashville, Club 44 Records. And they're a small division of Sony, distributed by Orchard Records. And so he was like, yeah, I want to do this. And originally it was going to be just all Disney covers. Right. And then we started talking about it. And like, one of the questions that Nick gets all the time every week, every week on his Travel Day Q&A was, when is this cast of Les Mis going to, record an album or record do a recording? And like, there's so many recordings of Les Mis, and it takes so much money to do it. And they don't record touring casts. They just don't. Nick's like, that's not going to happen. They're like, well, when are you going to record something? Right. And so it morphed, as we were picking songs for it. And I was just like, you need to ask Claude Michel, Schoenberg, and Alan Blue, like, just get their permission. You've been there, Valjean, for, ask them if you can record, bring it home. And he got permission to do it. And it's his version of it. He's got Music of the Night on there because, like, and that was like, oh, should we do that one? Should we not? Because that's like his dream role.
Right.
And you know, he'll probably play it one day. He's compared to Valjean, that would be a walk in the park. It just would be. It would be.
Yeah.
It would be. But the label was like, okay, because like Nick's got the blue check mark on Instagram, and he's been growing his following or whatever.
Yep.
Because he's leading an actor tour, and people are like, it's in his bio, and people are like, oh, I'm going to follow you. And like he does engage with fans and with his audience, and like he works very hard to get more information out. He wants people to know about what they're seeing. And so like that was the thing that I took over, was they were like, great, are you on YouTube? And Nick's like, yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. Like, how many subscribers do you have? And he had like, I don't know, 100. I don't know. It wasn't a lot. And they're like, great, you need to be doing YouTube shorts. Cause we were already doing like a little bit here and there he had a TikTok. He was doing a couple, like not a lot. And he had, his Instagram was like his biggest platform. Right. And so they were like, you really need to get YouTube going. And we're like, okay. They're like, YouTube shorts. Do you know what those are? And we're like, no, what is a YouTube short? And so they want like this wonderful, she's one of those people who like wears all the hats at the label. Right. And she's an amazing singer. And she just released a single, a country version of It's Beginning with Goblay, like Christmas. Her name's Haley Chachna. I'm not going to say her last name right, but she's at Haley Julene on Instagram, and she sings like a Disney princess. She's so good. Awesome. And she's like doing all of this production stuff. So she showed me, she's Gen Z. She showed me all of the things with YouTube, and we grew his following. We grew it to he's at like 13, almost 1,400 subscribers at this point. But we didn't start that until April. And we didn't know. We're like, he released in July, and we're like, okay, all right. Like, so like we're constantly thinking like, and that was not to like, but that was me coming up with like content ideas, scrolling, like what's trending? What's the trending audio right now? How can we apply that to Les Mis? How can we use that for this? How can we do this? And like putting it across platforms, and then reusing stuff that we have. And now he does, sorry, I'm not trying to promote him. I'm just like relating to you. No, you're good. You're good. He does this. So he does this thing that he started on, and this is before the album. He started this thing on Saturday nights called Saturday Night on Tour, or Snot.
Sounds as catchy.
There's a thing on Broadway where everybody goes, oh, it's Saturday Night on Broadway, or Snob. So it's an acronym. It doesn't, there's nothing that like goes along with it. But like sometimes like people who are across the street from each other. When Nick was in Superstar, and then when he was in Scandalous, he was at the Neil Simon Theater, and then Jersey Boys was across the street at the August Wilson. And so they would all like at 5 minutes to places, they would all lean out their dressing room windows across the street and scream at each other. And Saturday Night on Broadway.
Yeah, that's funny. That's cool though.
So he and his former Fontaine, Haley has since left the show. She and him started this thing at half hour, whatever time zone we're in, at half an hour before the show. They would go in Nick's dressing room, and he would go live on his channel, and it's Saturday Night on Tour. And then he reposts it, and it's there. So then he started, because it was like, you guys got to do stuff for the album. He started this it's not as catchy. We still don't love it, but that's what it's called. Thursday Night on Tour. He does this thing where he talks with people from all different parts of the industry. And he goes live, same thing, half an hour before. He goes live on YouTube, and he's talking to people. He's talked to stage manager, company manager, lighting, lighting, sound mixer. He talked to there's an intimacy director. Yeah. On Les Mis. He talked to, other friends in other shows. He's talked to, different people like about their college audition process. So he's trying to get more information out there, so that because people want to know, and the people might not tune in all the time, right away. But then it's there, it lives there, so the people who come across it can learn something. It's meant to be an edutainment thing. Right. It's a playlist, I guess.
Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Penosofsky's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and pub. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Well, and the more you educate people, the more the better they are off with knowing what's going on, how it works, and all that. That's what we talked about that earlier. You go in there kind of blind and naive about things, and you like you said, don't just bring a headshot and think you're going to get a job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You need to have a craft,
right? You need something.
Well, I mean,
for the love of God,
you'd have a craft, and it's. Listen, not everything is going to work for every person. Not every technique is going to work. I was in a Meisner studio for years, and it was great. Mm-hmm. And I took from that what I needed, and I go back to that technique. But technique is like the basics, right? That's what you rely on,
right?
When you're exhausted or you don't have it, and you're like, I don't know if I can cry. I've been crying for 8 hours, and this one scene, I don't know if I have any more tears to give you.
He doesn't know how to cry,
But it's like when you've been doing it, because there's, some people are of the, don't waste your on somebody else's coverage. Yeah. So when the camera's not on you, don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily subscribe to that. I want to be a present scene partner. Right. If I'm a reader in your audition and you're auditioning, I want to be a present scene partner for you. Right. If I'm, if I would want you, because I would want you to do that for me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And there's plenty of people who think that you're wasting too much of your energy, and okay, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not how I see it.
Have you, I was going to ask you this earlier. Have you ever watched, I stumbled upon this on Instagram, and I ended up watching one of the reels about it. And then I watched the entire thing on YouTube, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. It's Peter Pan Gone Wrong.
Yes.
With the BBC players.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh.
There's an entire series.
So many shows, but it's so good. Funny. And it's
I saw it on Broadway when it was The Play That Goes Wrong.
Oh, no way. Yeah. The Play That Goes Wrong. Yeah.
I think I don't know if it's still off Broadway, but it came back post-pandemic. It came back off Broadway. But there's they have a bunch of, is it on Netflix? Or is it on Amazon Prime? It's on one of the streamers where there's 6 or 8 episodes. There's a Christmas special. There's a World War II era one. They're hilarious.
I watch them on YouTube. So I watched that one, and they did the one of Scrooge, which is the Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And they kidnapped the guy. At the beginning, and I can't think of the guy's name, but on the Peter Pan one, he was the dog. He played Nana. He was killing me. He was because my niece, she just turned 14, and last May or March, or it was May or maybe April. They did the Peter Pan tour.
Yeah.
It came to Tampa, and she had tickets, and her mom couldn't go. So she calls me BB. She's another one that she found out my name was Billy, and she's she calls me Beebs. Hey, Beebs. I'm like, hey, let's not do that now. Let's keep BB, or don't call me. Just say, hey, you.
Hey, you.
Hey, you. So I took her down there, and it was a great play. But after watching that, and then I saw the Peter Pan Gone Wrong, I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to show it to her, and I think she would like that too. But I didn't realize they had so many other plays that they did, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's cracks me up.
There's one where the stage is turned. So the forces of gravity are not what they normally are. Please find that one and watch it.
Okay.
hysterical. Like it's just,
yeah.
I don't want to say anything else, but just, it's amazing.
It's funny because, you know, and this is another thing that I learned as you get older and you start to experiment with different things, like as far as what like new genres of like music and movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't realize like the British sense of humor and the American sense of humor are they're not totally different, but they're different. Mm-hmm. And so like, you know, the BBC, when you watch that stuff, sometimes you're like, I don't get it. Because they're referring to things in their country or their culture, just like we do here. Yes. But there's a scene in the Peter Pan Gone Wrong. She's like, you hear "Bap, bap," and he goes, "Oh, the cab's here." "Bap, bap." He goes, "2 cabs." "Bap, bap."
Yep.
Another cab. But it's just hilarious the way. I mean, it just it reminded me of the World Showcase players. How they would do like the same. That's the same. That's the vibes I get every time I watch it. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I love this kind of stuff. It's hilarious.
I forgot about the World Showcase players.
I had Mark Daniel on. Do you remember Mark Daniel? He was he did World Showcase players. He is if you go to like a filming like Disney, the Christmas parade when they do the filming. Yeah. Yes, folks, it's not live, it's actually filmed and not on Christmas Day. It's filmed way before Christmas Day. He's like the MC, like he does all the
crowd
promotional like crowd working the crowd and stuff. He's such a great guy, and he came on the podcast and we talked about Disney and stuff like that. Big Muppets fan. He was very sad on his Instagram. He's literally tears are coming down his eyes. Because that was just part of his life that it meant something to him. But I had him on and we talked about. I just told him how funny he was. I was like, dude, I remember not even because they didn't have attendance, but I would just stop. I was probably supposed to go back and help get my friends ready to come back on set, and I would just stop and watch the show because it was so. I mean, they were hilarious.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, like
I don't know.
That's also the thing that like people. I feel like this is something that I kind of struggled with a little bit, like in my own chatter in my brain when I first moved to New York, is that like when you're interviewing for like jobs, like interviewing not auditioning, interviewing for jobs, people like see Disney on your resume and that's all they want to talk about.
Yep.
And when you're auditioning and you're in like your entertainment stuff, they're like, oh, so did you worked for Disney? And it's like, it's just this different.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in musical theater, it felt a little bit like, oh, you worked in a theme park. Like, and I don't know that that's necessarily the same thing now, but I'm like, dude, this doesn't go for all theme park performers, but some of us, first of all, learned our work ethic there and have a killer work ethic. Yep. And there's a lot of really, really talented people who come through
absolutely
Disney and have Disney on their resume. Like, so chill with you were a theme park performer.
Yeah. I did the same thing when I could be out. This is, even when I was working at Disney, I could be in public. I could be on vacation or something and be like, they would see my ID come out of my pocket and they go, oh my gosh, you work at Disney? Where? I mean, it doesn't matter. I could tell I'm a race car driver. Mm-hmm. And I had a friend of mine who was I used to work at. So get this, when I worked at Magic Kingdom, I worked at Richard Petty Driving Experience.
Yes, we talked about this because I never knew where it was.
Yep.
So where is it?
Yep. So it was in the parking lot there at Magic Kingdom, right? So we took my dad there for his birthday one summer, and you know how I'm like, so you got any job openings? Just to say I worked there, And the guy's like, actually, we are you interested? I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, I can only work like 2 or 3 days a week. And he's like, okay, well, so I got a job there, and I was my job was to put them in the car and put the Hans device on them. So it's got you got the suit with the belt, and then you got your helmet, and it's got 2 clips that are connected to the suit, and they click to the helmet. So basically, you're like you're strapped, so that way your head doesn't. Because that's how one of the drivers got killed, Dale Earnhardt. He didn't have his Hans device.
Oh, that's right.
So they made it a mandatory. Everybody has to do that. So I would put them in there. And this lady, I was just talking to my dad about this the other night. Said, you go through, you just don't show up. Like you say, just don't show up with a headshot. You're like, hey, I can drive. You take like a 2-hour class. Even 2 hours is not enough time to really tell you, but it's a crash course.
Yeah.
So they had 2 sessions, one in the morning, one afternoon, one after lunch. So they're like, okay, people come in the morning, we get them, they go through the class, they take them in the van, they take them right around the track, and they go, okay, this track is not that, it's not that, people would get scared before they even got in the car. I'm like, no, there's really nothing to it. Just get in the car, and the car is so low that it will actually stick to the track. It goes up on that embankment, even in a regular car, because I had to drive on it in my car to help dry it sometimes. They're in like a 15-passenger van, and they're going around it, and they're like, yeah, it will stick to the side. You could go up top and just like it's on a track, So anyways, they get done with the session, and the lady comes out, and I put her in the car, and I strap her down and get the Hans device on her and everything. And I go to, you have a net, and I go to put the net up. She goes, hey. And I was like, yes, ma'am. And she goes, I don't know how to drive a stick shift. And I was like, I was like, okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, and I barely knew how to drive one, because my job was to take them out, take the cars out of the garage, get them set up, do the Hans device, and when we were all done, go gas them back up and put them back in the garage. So I had to learn how to drive a stick shift. So I'd call we had a captain. It was like a captain,
sure.
on the pit. I say, hey, Derek, I got this lady. She just, I'm like, this lady does not drive a stick shift. And he said, and so basically you had a lead car in front of you, and you just follow that car. He said, tell her to put it in 4th gear and give it hell, like give it a lot of gas. And I go, okay. So I said, ma'am, I said, when he goes, I want you to lightly take your foot off the clutch, and I want you to push down as hard as you can. And she did, and she had it was like 9,000 RPMs. That meter was like going out of the pits. She came back at like she'd been doing it for years, just like that. But if she would have started off regularly, she probably would have been, because you gotta still manually move it.
Yeah.
But if it's in the most, it's in 4th gear, baby. There's not much.
I don't know why. It didn't even occur to me that you would have had to know how to drive a stick to do the Richard Petty driving experience.
Yeah. Because
I guess it didn't matter that I didn't know where it was, because I couldn't have done it anyway.
I would just put it 4th and told you to give it
out.
But it's so funny because the guys were so good where they, you had the switches where you don't have a key turn, you have switches. So you have a 3, I think it's 3 switches or 2. You have one that you kind of like prime the car up, and then you have an ignition switch. So you go and then let go of it, and it would fire up. Well, these guys were so good. I never attempted this because I wasn't that good, obviously. They would put it in neutral, and then they would just shut the car off. And then they would come coast in. Like, this is as they're exiting the track.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they go around a couple times, and then they come in and they put it in neutral, shut the car off, and it would save fuel by you got all that momentum. It would just coast. And then when they got to their little box, it just stop with the brake. And it just made it look like a Tonka toy, like a little kid could do it.
Oh my gosh.
But it's something that I'll never forget. Like, that lady's like, yeah, I don't know how to drive a stick.
Dude, I thought it was more like the Tomorrowland race cars on steroids.
No.
I was like, oh, this is that's cool. That's really cool.
It was cool.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And so, but again, you learn like things if you don't realize how things operate, you learn quick.
You have to.
That lady had to learn quick to just give it hell, just go.
Yeah, give it hell.
And she did great. I mean, she came back, and it's probably one of the best experiences she's probably ever had in her life.
I bet.
She came back, and she's probably, not only was she happy, but that's something she'll tell somebody, hey, make sure you know how to drive a stick shift. Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right.
Well, that's also like, there's just all kinds of stories about like actors lying about, hey, can you ride a horse? Can you whatever? And they're like, the rule of thumb is just say yes and figure it out later.
Of course I can. Of course I can. Why not?
Sure. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll figure it out. Yes.
And then you're like, oh, I thought you said, can you eat a horse?
Nah.
And I was like, you're like, yeah, that too. I'm so hungry. I could eat a horse. I don't know. All right. I don't know what I'm going to go with that, but
that's all good. No, but it's like, just say yes.
Just go with it. It's like improv. You can't say no.
Yeah. Yes, and baby.
Well, hey, listen, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule and hanging out with me for a little bit, catching up.
Yeah,
it was so good to see you. Yes, I'm so glad. And, maybe we'll have to do this again, and we'll have to recap of what you're doing at the time and what you're, how it's going.
Listen, right now it's, a lot of people in the industry are just like survive till 25, just survive till 25. Because it's not that nothing's happening, but there's not a lot happening. And it's just, we still haven't recovered from the strikes, and there's the government. First of all, we need government regulation on AI. And then you've got, people in certain states trying to do certain things.
Right.
With, tax incentives, but it's going global. Like there's so many productions that are leaving LA.
Right.
And I'm not LA based, but like there's a lot of stuff that's leaving LA to go shoot in Louisiana or Canada or what's the show that everybody White Lotus is now shooting in Thailand for this season, or it's shot in Thailand because they're getting tax incentives to do so. And like it's just, it's not great. It's not great right now. So
hopefully it picks up and it all works itself out. It does. It really does. I hope so. If not, we can hope for something else, I guess. I don't know. If one thing runs out, you got to run to another.
Well, I'm hoping that something is done. I don't have a lot of faith that there's going to be, immediate regulation where it needs to be, especially for AI stuff, because it's not just, here's the thing, is it's coming for every industry.
Right.
We're just at the forefront.
Right.
It's coming for every industry. And that's like, you're going to have a lot of people who can't, if AI is going to do all of our jobs.
Yep.
That's the thing is like I know in my community, in my circle, it's like, I want AI to do my dishes. I don't want AI to do the creative things that I want to be doing. Yeah. I want AI to run my errands so that I have time to do the things that I love. I don't want AI writing stories and painting and doing the artistic stuff that we're supposed to be doing as humans.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Real quick, I was just talking about that to a guy that I met last year. We went on a wildlife tour. His name is Bo. And we went to Wyoming, and he was our tour guide, and he took us out to see animals and stuff. And we were talking about how, AI is making it to where, we're talking about people crossing that barrier of like, there's a thin line between safety and, what's realistic and what's not. Mm-hmm. And it's like, people are like, oh, I've only seen, people like I've seen people go up and try to pet like a bison or something, and then they get run over, stomped to death. But they saw it on TikTok or they saw it on this, and how AI is making it a big part of like, where does reality stop or start, and where does that stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, where does it? I know they coexist, but where's the line?
They're training us now. They're training us now. There are commercials out right now from massive companies,
right?
That not only have they gone non-union with a lot of their commercial stuff, like non-union commercials have been a thing for the last 10 to 15 years, where a lot of it's because they don't have to pay the same way. It's less expensive. It's less expensive. It's less expensive. Where they now just have full-on commercials that are airing right now that are all AI.
Oh wow!
And there's stuff that's happening. There are ads that are happening on social media, on the platforms that are all AI. And the thing is that it's training your eyes and it's training your brain. And soon people aren't going to know the difference, in the same way that people don't know how to decipher how to tell if something is misinformation or disinformation.
Right.
They're counting on us not being able to tell what's real and what's not.
Right. Right.
Because that is so dangerous.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So and in other countries, I was watching this the other day in Finland, they teach them how to decipher fact from fiction in real life scenarios, in the news and everything else. They teach them how to do that from a very young age. And they're not teaching that here. And it's, our own people don't know how our own government works. And they are the literacy level in our country, our functional literacy level, and knowing how to decipher, hey, what is this headline from? What is the source? Can I verify it from other viable sources? People don't know how to do that, or they don't take the time to do it, and everybody's in their own echo chambers, and that's why nobody can talk to each other. It's a whole thing. But like, they're training our eyes and our brains on AI right now. I don't mean that, like, well, there is a they, but our eyes and our brains are being, people who stand to benefit are training our eyes and our brains on it now, so that eventually we're not going to know the difference. Right. And it's the technology is moving so fast that 2 years ago, my hands would look like, mangled, whatever. And now they don't look like that anymore. Right. Right. And it's, it's just, it goes to show you like there's still people out there that somebody can call them, and, you see the short reels all the time about, I owe you owe the IRS money, and they're calling. I'm like, if the IRS is going to come to your house, they're going to come to your house. They're not going to call you. They're not going to be like, hey, this is a courtesy call. They're going to show up at your front door and want to audit you, not you need to send money through the mail or send me a gift card. A gift card of all things, like, hey, I need a gift card to TJ Maxx for $500. You're like, whoa, what? Scammers gonna scam. But that's also the thing with like being able to replicate people's voices, and why it's important for people to have code words, because now there's not just that kind of thing that they can replicate it on a phone call. Now there's a deep fake filter. I was just watching this the other day. There's a deep fake filter that they can do it on live videos.
Oh, wow.
Who does that help? Who does that help? Because if they can do that, that's if your older parents who aren't super tech savvy get a FaceTime from you or something, and it's and they have a filter of your face,
send money, I'm in trouble.
Right. How are they going to know? Yep. Do you think that they're going to stop and go, well, let me actually call you to see if it's really you? Yep. If they're being told that you've been abducted or you're hurt or something like that, it's very scary.
And you're going to do everything you can to get you back, or you, well, if say I have your child, and then it's a little harder with a child. It has to be someone that's already left, but someone not in the vicinity of, because you're like looking around, you're like, my kid's right there. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
but they go to school, right? And they're not with you 24/7.
Right. And you don't know.
Terrifying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So people call and say, hey, is my kid still at school? Yes. Okay. Well, I just got this, and you don't know. So you gotta take it as like, you can't just laugh it off or just think there's nothing to it. It's, you never know. You never know.
It's really scary. It's really scary what the nefarious uses of this technological advancement, and it's happening so fast.
Well, that it's being used by people that want to manipulate someone for something, whether it be money or power or any kind
Usually
of
money.
leverage. Yeah. Well, yeah, money is the top of the list, but just it's crazy.
It's awful.
So like you said, hopefully they get that kind of figured out and put some kind of regulation on it, just like everything else has. They try to do that. I mean, you can only do so much. I know you have good intentions, but you can only do so much. And so
but not everybody has good intentions.
Well, no. You're right. I'm talking about, I'm talking about people that try to regulate it. Like people, well, I guess, I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
That's a very optimistic outlook, Billy.
I try. I really do.
I mean,
I'm a realist. I really am a realist, but I do give people the benefit of the doubt. And maybe that's my downfall, as far as I give everybody the same amount of respect, even though I've never met them before. If I can be a complete stranger, I give them the same amount of respect I do with anybody. Until they do something to me, then I'm not mean to them, but they don't have that same respect. They don't, I don't forget. I can forgive, but I don't forget. Because I don't want that happening to me again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people are people. They're going to do whatever they want to do. People's is people's. People's is people.
Ain't that the truth?
It's so true. But people's is people's. Anyways, but hey, listen, I'm gonna wrap this up, and thank you so much again for coming and taking your time. And
absolutely.
Hey, not bad for an iPhone. I didn't even know that. I thought it was like a webcam or something. It's great.
No, so I learned this. This is also part of being an actor. The things that you have to learn. So iPhone has this thing called continuity camera.
Okay.
And it's a better quality because the iPhones keep changing. My webcam. If I were to change it right now, here, I'll change it. I'll show you. Watch. Here's the difference between my built-in camera.
Oh man.
And now here's the one, right? Right? And now here's the iPhone camera. Here's continuity camera.
Oh, that's so much better.
So like if I have a callback on Zoom, which camera do you think I'm going to use?
The one you're using now.
That's right.
Yes. That looks like the Carousel Progress, the first scene, and that's the last scene.
Just bring it back to Disney. There we go. There we go. Full circle.
One round robin. That's all it is. Baby.
That's right.
Well, listen, I thank you again, and I wish you the best of luck. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Holidays. Good luck for 2025. And you and your husband.
Yes.
And I just wish you nothing but happiness. So
you too.
Thank you for being a great friend. I know I haven't seen you in so long, but I mean, I cherish everything about Disney. I still talk about that to my wife, how people are family. They really are family. And
absolutely.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Yeah. Thank you. Guys, we're going to sign off right now, and I appreciate all my sponsors. Without your help, this is not possible. So thank you for all your support. And if you haven't liked or subscribed, you can go to YouTube and subscribe, and also follow on Spotify. So until next time, we'll see you down the road. Bye, everybody.